One of the most interesting and unique movie franchises of the past 10 years are the Quiet Place movies. These movies about an ending world that's getting invaded by blind but ultra-sensitive hearing alien monsters and the surviving families and communities in this kind of apocalypse. It really becomes a rare thing in filmmaking. While the first film is a favorite among many film fans, the franchise has gone on to release 3 high-quality movies: the original, a sequel, and a spin-off prequel. All of these films show more consistency in the way how effective they are as horror movies and how inventive they are with their filmmaking, while having a lot of heart and intelligence in the movie. They show more of that than most movie franchises in general. And let's be honest, there aren't a lot of franchises and trilogies that are good front to back. Most of them really fall off after the first movie. But there is something else about these films that I love and is really special. They have really strong faith-based and Christian undertones. The movies have characters praying on screen, show the value of unborn life and the family in a very biblical way. The Christian influence and references go even deeper. When you look at the kind of background John Krasinski and his writing team, the filmmakers behind this franchise, really have. Before we get into it, my name is Alex Lazarov. I've been working in film and media for most of my life, and I'm a believer in Christ. This channel right here exists to discover the presence of God in filmmaking and help you stay holy as a film fan. Now, the Quiet Place franchise was created by John Krasinski, who was previously well known for playing Jim in The Office. The first Quiet Place movie that came out in 2018 was his directorial debut and instantly became a hit among audiences and critics. We don't know if Krasinski is a believer, but we do know that he was raised in the faith by 2 Catholic parents. The co-screenwriters of the Quiet Place movies, Scott Beck and Brian Woods, are known recently for their movie Heretic, which is about Mormon missionaries that I haven't seen yet. It's kind of a horror psychological thriller, and I think they have an evangelical background and grew up also in the church. Knowing where these filmmakers come from and how they grew up will help us really make sense of how boldly Christian elements are placed in these movies. Let's start out by looking at the first of these Quiet Place movies. What I absolutely love about these films is how carefully they are directed. In these films, every image, every sound truly counts. They have a very unique style in the way they're directed and the way the story is told, with little to no dialogue. And they're also really old school and conservative in the way the characters are being shown. And I don't mean that in a political way, but I do think that all of this has a spiritual element to it. The monsters or aliens in these films are called death angels. They're these creatures who are really sensitive in hearing, and they're really deadly. They tear apart human bodies in these films in really graphic ways. I love that these films are really intense and also violent, but the violence oftentimes is off screen and left for the imagination of the viewer. Interesting thing right here is how delicate these creatures are also being shown. Very similarly to the creature in Nope, who also has some references to being a fallen angel. These creatures aren't inherently evil. They feel like they're misplaced and really kill humans out of sheer survival in order to survive. And we also see them in the third movie, A Quiet Place, Day One, having their own family dynamic. And the way the monsters are conceptualized is really that they exploit the loudness and roughness of humans that come out of fear and ignorance. When it comes to the names in these films, there is also another really interesting reference in the screenplay. The family name of all of the protagonists is Abbot. And Abbot is actually an ecclesiastical title given to the head of an independent monastery in various Western Christian traditions. And it seems to me more like a coincidence, given how disciplined and quiet the whole family dynamic in the first 2 movies is. They really do live in a way like in a monastery. The film also has a really conservative view on labor and the portrayal of family life. The father is shown to be the hunter-gatherer outside, while the mother is the nurturer at home. These are things that have been also criticized by more progressive film critics, and I think it's really interesting given how these are beloved like Hollywood movies that are really mainstream but also conservative at the same time. The whole lifestyle of the family really seems to be grounded in a Christian worldview, and there's also in the first movie a scene where the whole family is praying before dinner. They also work quietly at their jobs and know their place and fulfill their roles. And maybe the most bold thing when it comes to Christian influence in these movies is how the value of unborn life is treated. In a world that's really going down, the family still decide to make a new child, and this unborn life and the pregnancy around it is really where the center of tension in the first film at least lies. We live in a time where babies are being aborted out of sheer comfort, and here we have the pregnancy and eventual birth of the child in the third act that leads this family into all kinds of chaos and danger and just risk. Still, we see these difficult circumstances bringing the family closer together. And I love how the value of unborn life kind of becomes everyone's responsibility, a theme that is further explored in A Quiet Place Part 2. The sequel starts off with such a well-directed first sequence. Like, you just watch the opening scene of this movie and every single detail counts in there. Shortly afterwards, the aliens attack a small town, and the situation with these films is if you make a sound, you get killed. Still, shortly afterwards, we see a scene where a group of people is under attack and a man whisperingly prays in full length the Lord's Prayer. And this isn't like played for jokes, because eventually this isn't what gets him killed. What gets the people in this scene killed is a phone ringing in the background. And this really reminded me of the movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan, one of the greatest faith-based films directed by an atheist, in which we also see the people of a small town returning to the faith, like grabbing onto their faith in God that they had previously lost when faced with the end of the world. I love how the sequel especially shows motherhood. The mother in this film is protecting her newborn with the help of her older kids, and the protection of the infant becomes everyone's responsibility, even the responsibility of a stranger. And this portrayal of a strong woman isn't used for some feminist propaganda, because she isn't shown to be invincible. She can't do it all. She is reliant on other people. She needs help, but still she stays the loving, protective, and strong mother God wants her to be. Malehood also is shown in a very honest but beautiful way. In this film, we have a boy who is maybe 13 years old, but because of the difficult circumstances, he kind of has to grow up really quick and man up and be brave. But still, the way the boy is shown and the way the actor gives his performance, he still has a very boyish quality to him and doesn't just become an incredible hero because of his own capability. I also love Cillian Murphy's character in the sequel, and the way he performs it is really beautiful, like this hurt that the character has because of the loss of his own family, but still how brave he is to take on responsibility and take care of this family. Loving a Stranger in this way is also a theme that is further explored in the spin-off prequel of the Quiet Place movies in A Quiet Place Day One. Now, this film is really different than all the others. First of all, it's not directed by John Krasinski. Is directed by Michael Sarnowski, who's a really talented director. This is his second film after his debut feature film Pig, which is a great movie. Like, if you get a chance to see it, like, definitely watch Pig. This movie isn't set in the countryside like the first two movies, but in New York City. It has a whole new bunch of characters. It's not centered around a family dynamic, but there's actually two single people that aren't in a relationship, but just bond over the difficult circumstances. I love how these two, how the protagonists in this film find themselves through selfless love and help. and really share a very special connection in the movie that never becomes a love story in any way. And the way selfless love is shown in this movie is also very biblical. Then there is a scene where the two characters almost drown in a subway system and re-emerge in the middle of an Orthodox church. And it's been a while since I saw this movie. I think I saw it when it came out last year, but I remember loving how directly it connected to, like, visually to baptism, and how atmospherically the scene in the Orthodox Church was directed. And I loved how the church is being shown as a place of rest, of peace, of refuge in a world outside that's really going down. Part 3 of the original A Quiet Place trilogy with director John Krasinski again is already announced. I'm curious to see how cinematically and storytelling wise he's going to resolve his original trilogy, and I'm also curious to see if and how themes of faith and family are explored in A Quiet Place Part 3. But what do you think? What do you think about the Quiet Place movies? Are there any other Christian references I missed? Did any of these things I mentioned really surprise you? Or did I overinterpret these films in any way? Please let me know in the comments. I thank you so much for your time and attention. Hope to have you back in the next one, and God bless you all.